and review them. We study those data in order that we won't plan wrongly. We've spent 24 minutes on this question. So much for oral questions.
Bill's first reading. Pesticides Amendment Bill 2013. Bill's second reading. Secretary for Food and Health. President, I move the second reading of the Pesticides Amendment Bill. The objective of the bill is to amend the Pesticides Ordinance so as to enable us to comply with the Stockholm Convention on Persistent Organic Pollutants and also the Rotterdam Convention on the Prior Informed Consent Procedure for certain hazardous chemicals and pesticides in international trade. We take this opportunity to update the part of the ordinance concerning certain prohibited pesticides. Now, the purpose of the ordinance and also of the two conventions is to protect human health and the environment from persistent organic pollutants and hazardous chemicals, including pesticides. The People's Republic of China is a signatory to both conventions. The Central People's Government has applied the two conventions to the Hong Kong SAR. Now, under the present ordinance, all the pesticides covered by the two conventions are unregistered pesticides. The import, manufacture, sale, supply, or possession of these pesticides are allowed only under a permit. So we are amending the ordinance to the effect that concerning the export or use of such pesticides, they can be done only with a permit under the DFAC. The two conventions do not apply to chemicals in quantities not likely to affect human health or the environment, which are used for laboratory research, chemical analysis, or as a reference standard. And so in line with the spirit of the two conventions and to facilitate scientific research and chemical analysis, we propose in the bill that a person importing, manufacturing, selling, supplying, in possession of, using or exporting any scheduled pesticide not exceeding 10 grams or 10 ml that is contained in an individual package or container and is used or intended to be used indoors for laboratory research, chemical analysis, or as a reference standard would be exempted from the permit requirement. The proposed thresholds are sufficiently high to cater for those purposes, but unlikely to affect human health or the environment. So along the same vein, the administration proposes that all registered or unregistered pesticides not controlled by the two conventions can be excluded from the scope of the ordinance if they do not exceed 10 grams or 10 ml and are contained in an individual package or container and are used or intended to be used indoors for laboratory research, chemical analysis, or as a reference standard. And we propose to update the ordinance in relation to certain provisions relating to the regulation of pesticides. For example, providing appeals against certain decisions of the DAFC under the ordinance be made to the Administrative Appeals Board established under the Administrative Appeals Board Ordinance instead of the CE. This would place the appeal hearing function with an independent and impartial body. And secondly, confining the existing power of warrantless entry for routine inspection of any premises by authorized officers under the ordinance to 1. Any premises or place whether domestic or not, the address of which is stated in an application for a license or permit under the pesticides regulations or any other non-domestic premises or place. We believe authorized officers would be able to carry out routine inspections, and at the same time, the privacy enjoyed by such premises in general can be protected. Then C, removing the ribbing requirement of pesticide containers. This is to reduce an unnecessary burden on the industry. We have consulted the Food Safety and Environmental Hygiene Panel, which has expressed support for the proposals. We also consulted the stakeholders, including license holders, property management companies, turf management organizations, academic organizations, green groups, trade associations, and so on and so forth. And they all have expressed support for the proposals. And in drafting the bill, the administration reviewed the scope of application of the ordinance. And it was of the view that the government should also be subject to the same statutory requirements. And so we propose in the bill that the amended ordinance should also bind the SAR government. And meanwhile, concerning criminal liability, we are of the view that the SAR government and the civil servants should be exempted. And if civil servants act in good faith, they will also be exempted from civil liability. We are of the view that the amendments can enable Hong Kong to fully comply with the two conventions. So I urge members to support the bill and to pass the bill as soon as possible. And I propose question 2, and that is that the Pesticides Amendment Bill 2013 be read the second time. In accordance with the ROP, the debate is now adjourned and the bill is referred to the House Committee.
Members' motion. The first member's motion. Mr. Andrew Leung will